Into the sky we soar. Every day, aviator, let me show you more.
From Takeoff to sun, hear those engines roar. Feel those rush, I'm gonna get door. Up so high, and just like a rain. Time to be deep with the next stop me.
Every day, aviator, conquering the skies. After burning dreams in those spider jets we fly. Every day, aviator, reaching new heights. Soaring through the clouds on the starlit nights. Fasten your seatbelts, hold on tight. We'll chase the sun, break through the night.
From the hangar to the open blue. Able to turn, I'll guide you through. Throttle up the ride, embrace the thrill. Every day, and there's still a little.
Every day, aviator, conquering the skies. After burning dreams in those fighter jets we fly. Every day, aviator, reaching new heights. Soaring through the clouds on the starlit nights. We live for the roar, we die for the speed. In this endless chase, it's adventure we need. Through floods over oceans, every path we lead. Every day, aviator, we were born to exceed. Every day, aviator, conquering the skies. After burning dreams in those fighter jets we fly. Every day, aviator, reaching new heights. Soaring through the clouds on the starlit nights.
Hello everyone, welcome back to another stream. It's been a while since I've done one. I've been pretty busy. At the same time, there's also not been a ton of new things that's come out for Microsoft Flight that I've been interested enough in getting at the moment, because the new flight sim does come out pretty soon, in roughly 19 days from the making of this video. Even though most of that stuff will transfer over at some point, there is no guarantee any of it will work appropriately at launch, like some people say it will. I am not taking the word for it, so I've not bought a whole lot of new stuff right now. I'm just going to get the new sim, leave this one installed, and learn the new one, figure it out, see how it works, see what I like about it, and slowly introduce my new mods, which I'll do a video on that when it comes time. But today is the second day of the new Airbus A380 that's out by Flybywire. And it is free. That is the beautiful part about it. And it is probably the best freeware aircraft I have ever seen. And it does live up to the expectations, I believe, so far. This is technically the alpha at the moment, so it's got a lot of work still to do, optimization-wise, mostly. Physics-wise, system-wise, so far I've not seen any issues. I've actually not even done a full IFR flight, actually. I've only done I'm taking this thing off, not programming it, just to see how it works kind of deal, which worked pretty well. I did almost crash it because I did not set my V-speeds, and that's a whole nother story. But nevertheless, it was a successful flight, and I was very happy with it. So with all that being said, let's hop into this. Let's get it started. This will just be a basic tutorial on getting this up and running. This is not going to go insanely in depth. This is just going to be a basic beginner's guide for people that are getting into this aircraft for the very first time, or maybe have never flown an Airbus A320 for the very first time, or an Airbus for the very first time, because all the systems do work very similar. So let's jump right in and get started. Alright, so here we are in the cabin. You will notice a few things right offhand, unless you've never been in an Airbus before. One is that a lot of it looks very similar to the Airbus A320 or any of the other ones that have similar systems. I've not really flown a lot of Airbuses. The A320 is about the only one, but it does look fairly similar. But you also notice that there is a lot of differences, like the FMC. It's much more of a glass cockpit than I have ever seen before in Airbus. But overall, the overhead systems and everything else still functions pretty much the same. The only thing I had to really play with earlier to learn was just the FMC and learning how to actually program and get the flight in and all that. So I'm going to be going over that as well. And I'm going to be doing it through SimBrief, which if you do not know what SimBrief is, definitely sign up for it. It is free. You just plan your flights online and generate them and inject it into the aircraft. Most of your payware aircraft support this, which is the cool part. So I do apologize for the lower FPS because this is a pretty stout aircraft, so I'm only getting like 28 to 30 FPS right now sitting in Orlando. I will jump up to smooth once we get away from Orlando. But over here you'll see the EFB. Go ahead and click on it. I've already generated my SimBrief flight plan, and you can put your ID in and through the systems. I'm not going to go there because it does show my ID, and I'm not going to blur it out. But so once you do all that, you literally just hit import, and it will import the most recent one you have created. Alright, so for some reason it's saying invalid aircraft type detected. I'm not sure why, because I just went back and checked, and I do have the A380 800 in here, so I don't know. Anyway, it's loaded it correctly the way I wanted it. So quick going over on the EFB is that's obviously your home screen. If you have Navigraph, you can pin charts here. Go to checklist page, maintenance page. I do not have Navigraph. I do not have enough time to fly to make it worth it. Eventually I will get Navigraph back. But from here you can see your dispatch page. I'm not going to go over all that because it is a lot of stuff. But this is all generated from SimBrief. And it tells you everything and anything you could want to know about your flight. And yeah. Next is your ground page. This is where you can simulate loading passengers. I've not actually done it yet, so I don't know if you actually see passengers or not. That's something you can figure out for yourself, but you can do boarding times real fast, instant, and you can see weight, all that stuff. You can go between your upper and lower decks. So that's that. Over here on the top right hand side, you can go to your service page. I'm going to go ahead and connect the ground power unit because that is going to be useful for the first starting of the aircraft, the first phase of that. But you can open up doors, hatches, all that good stuff. You can go here, get refueled. We're sitting at 70% right now, which we're just going to Miami, so that is way overkill, but that's okay. And then a pushback button, which we'll get into later. And calculator here for calculating ground speed, and yeah, all your other stuff for descent and all that. Navigraph page for if you have that. Air traffic control for if you're on IVAO or VATSIM. And failures list, which I've not actually tried any of this yet, so I'm interested to see how that works. I'll play around with that later. And then your checklist page, and you do have presets for lighting and stuff like that. This is a very basic checklist page. I don't actually recommend using it until you really know what you're doing with the plane, because like before start it just says do this, like it don't actually tell you what to do, like turn the APU on, turn the bleeds on, so I don't really recommend using that. And then your settings page with all of this. You can go into that. It's pretty self-explanatory. So that's the EFB. So now we will go over how to start this bird. Alright, so for starting this aircraft, just like I said a moment ago, make sure on your ground page here, if I can click it, services, make sure your ground power unit is green. After you click it, it'll turn orange for a little bit. That's why it gets in place and connects. So once it's green, you can see external power available. So I can click any of them, really. In this case, it really don't matter. In real life it would, but in this case it doesn't. So most of your stuff's already going to be turned on, generator-wise, hydraulic-wise, stuff like that. But you will need to go ahead and turn your batteries on. And from there, go ahead and go up here. You can go ahead and turn your alignments to nav. It'll take a few minutes for that to align. And from, oops, I didn't turn those off. So from here, you can go ahead and turn your nav lights on. So you can just say, hey, this airplane's APU is getting ready to be running and all that, whatnot. So down here towards the bottom, you'll see master switch for APU. You'll click it. You'll say on, then you'll say start. It'll take it a moment for it to start. Right here, you can see the APU is starting in your center screen. If it's not selected, down here in the center console, somewhere, I'm looking right at it, I know I am. There is an APU button, right there it is. You would just click it and it would show this screen. So we'll let that start up. Like I said, it only takes a moment. So while that's getting started up though, we will go ahead and go to the FMC. So if you do go to the flight plan page, which there's two ways to get to it. Excuse me, I can't talk all of a sudden. There's the flight plan button here, or under this drop down you can hit that and go to flight plan. It's the same thing either way. But you will notice it is empty. Even though we've loaded our flight plan from SimBrief into the EFB, it is not here. So I will show you how to load that in. Under this page here, you will go to the top right, hit Company Flight Plan Request, and it's received it. Simply click it again and hit Insert, and boom, there it is. It'll insert almost everything you need from that flight plan. Hence, almost. Definitely doesn't do it all, but it does most of it. So go ahead and go back to the flight plan, and you'll see your basic stuff is here. Where you're going, where you're taking off from, and your one waypoint in this case. That's because this is a very short flight, so you'd normally see a lot more than just that here. So go ahead and click on the airport you're currently at. It'll bring up this list. Hit departure. Over here on your main screen, it will say route from Orlando, runway 36 right to Danny 3. So we'll simply come up here, hit runway 36 right, standard instrument departure, or SID, Danny 3. That is all you do there. Go back to your flight plan page. You can go ahead and hit insert, and it'll turn it on green. That just is basically the confirm saying, hey, yes, I did select what I want. Go ahead and click on your arrival airport and click on arrival. And we'll go back over here. We'll see it is Miami, runway 08 right, using the Seesaw 2 approach. So runway 08 right. Approach is going to be the ILS 08 right. We are going to be using ILS to land. Via, we're not going to use that. Star is going to be Seesaw 2. And we're not doing transitions, excuse me. So you can go back to the flight plan page, and you can see it is yellow again. Simply hit insert, and it's all green again. I'm going to go ahead and click on discontinuity and delete that. Turn that back green, and we should be good. If you ever see that it says vectors, you actually want to leave that because that's going to be something to do with air traffic control. So if you're on VATSIM or something like that, that's actually kind of important. But if you do have it discontinuity, it's not going to work necessarily very well. So now that we have that entered, we can go back to this page. We see it's all good here. Okay. We can go fuel and load. You can also just get that from the drop down, go to fuel and load. So our weight is going to be right here, 354.6. So you'll click on this and you'll notice it doesn't click. So what you'll want to do is under here you'll see this KBD, which stands for keyboard. You'll turn it on. It's kind of like a lock. So now if you click back in the weight, 350, oh goodness, I done forgot, 354.6. So 354.6, and then enter. And there you go, it's in. I'm not going to worry about none of this and block. Once you get the hang of it, you can do all that. That's for how much fuel you're probably going to need for this stuff. That's taxiing, which it's kind of already done that. So yeah, like I said, I'm not going to go into every single little thing here. What we want to go to next is the performance page, which you can also click on the performance button here. I have not found a calculator built in for this one yet for calculating V speeds. If I'm missing it somewhere, please tell me in the comments. I don't have a calculator for this aircraft, so I just kind of guessed, which is not good. But I done 355, enter, rotate 365, when this could be very wrong, I don't know. And 375. It's probably very high. It's probably too high. And 10%. And that's pretty much all you gotta worry about. Flex, 40. Sure, that sounds good. Yes, so packs on, all that. Then you can see your tabs up here. This is for takeoff, this is for climb, cruise, descent, approach, and a go around, which it should already be in managed. All this stuff should be entered already in managed mode, which is fine. That just means it's going to do what it wants to do, which is usually fine. So yeah. So there is all that. I'm making sure in my mind that I have got everything there entered that I need. Under the position one here, go to IRS, make sure these are all in nav. That just means that the IRS has aligned. If you go to this page right after you turn them knobs on in the beginning, it'll say aligned in like so many minutes. And that just means you're going to have to wait that long. There is a way to change that. I think it's actually on this page before it aligns. I can't remember where it's at. There is a way to change how fast it aligns. But it don't take that long anyway. Trust me, by the time you turn them on, come down here, enter your flight plan and all that, get the APU running, it's already going to be aligned. So, alright, so I'm going to go ahead and hit back to flight plan so I can see that here. And we are going to get ready and back this aircraft up and get ready for taxi. So I do have the APU running. As you can see up here, it's also saying it's available, which means it's running. So I'm going to go ahead and disconnect the ground power unit. I'm going to go ahead and go to the pushback page. And this is basically just going to get us ready to push back the aircraft for takeoff. So you just click on pushback system. Maybe. There we go. Hit confirm. Call tug. It will take it a second. I'm going to go ahead and center my screen back up. And we will turn the parking brake off. And this is actually pretty cool. so you can see where I'm at if you know Orlando at all. Right over here is runway 36 right, so I'm going to be backing up this way. So I can see I'm going back up this way, or need to. So what I'm going to do is just hit backwards. You'll see a line which kind of shows you where you're going to go, which is pretty cool. The Flybywire A380 might have this. I haven't flown that in ages. So if that's nothing new, it's new to me, and I think it's pretty cool. So now that we're backing up, at this point in time, we would normally be getting told we can start our engines in sequence. So we're going to go ahead and go back over here to the top and turn on our pumps. Just all the ones that say off. Go ahead and turn them on. And by the way, how I'm turning the pushback is with my rudder pedals. So we got them on, and we're going to turn this engine start switch to ignition. And I'm going to go ahead and turn this center bottom screen here to the engine page. If I can click it. And which you can see it up top here too, and we're just going to simply do these one at a time. And you'll see a box come up indicating that it is starting. Actually, no, it is not. Turn that back off for a second, because in order to start, you have to turn the APU bleed on. Now we are ready to start the engines. And now it is starting. Just confirming my pushback is going the way I want it. Alright, so they are all starting. Pushback's going good still, which you can always increase the speed if you wanted. I'm going to go ahead and turn my altitude to 27,000. Not really on the center line as much as I was aiming for, but that's okay. So I'm just going to hit pause and turn the parking brake on and disconnect the tug. And that'll take it a second. I'm going to go back to my main screen here. Verify that all my engines are running. They are. Temps look good. In one levels, all that's good. Pressure, oil, yep, we're good. Alright, so now I'm going to turn off APU bleed and click the master switch because we no longer need the APU. Go ahead and set my altimeter. And I'm going to go ahead and turn on my TCAS, which is under the position. Nope, wait a second. Click this serve. I'm not sure what that exactly stands for, but survey maybe, I have no idea. But you'll see your transponder there. Click auto. This is where you would enter your code whenever you're given one, on like IVAO, VATSIM, say intentions, whatever it is. And transmit receive for the TCAS, which is Traffic Collision Avoidance System. If you don't know what that is, it just warns you if you're about to crash into another plane. It'll tell you to climb or dive, and it'll tell the other plane to do the opposite. Theoretically, in real life, if you ever experience that, or even on here, listen to whatever the TCAS says and not what air traffic control tells you, because air traffic control might actually tell you to do the opposite of what the TCAS is saying, therefore making you do the exact same thing that other aircraft could be doing, and then you're still going to collide. So, yeah, there's that. That actually happened once. The pilots didn't listen to it. They listened to air traffic control, which, I mean, would make sense. But the planes ended up colliding, and tragically, everybody lost their lives. Alright, turn our lights on here. Let's get our taxi lights. And let's taxi. Alright, and we're coming up here. I'll go ahead and go to a stop. We'll turn my landing lights on, taxi lights off, which all your lights are found up here. Yeah, I'm using a peripheral. I'm on the Honeycomb Alpha, and it for some reason doesn't let me turn the nose wheel to take off. I don't know why. It's okay. But yeah, so we are holding short runway 34 right. Make sure the flight director is on. I've got my flaps set to notch 1, just like I put into the FMC for takeoff. I'm going to auto brake, turn that to RTO, ARM, which stands for rejected takeoff. Basically, if for some reason you got to stop on takeoff, it's going to help you stop. And I did fail to mention this because I was just kind of going through it kind of quick, but up here, seatbelt signs on, no mobile, emergency lights, arm them. You do want that, all that on. Technically, you should do that that stuff, you know, before I did it. Ground spoilers, arm. I've actually not figured out where that one's at yet. Normally, it's right here. And again, I'm not used to an Airbus that much, so I cannot remember. If anybody watching this does know where that's at, please let me know, because I was trying to find that earlier and I could not. Because I know where it's at on the other aircrafts, but like the Boeings, they're actually quite simple. You just pull it down a notch and it's armed. But for the Airbus, I'm not actually sure where it's at. That ain't going to stop you from being able to fly, though, so don't worry about that if you don't know where it's at. Just remember, if you need to deploy your spoilers, you got to do it manually. That's it. Alright, so let's go ahead and pull out onto the runway, because we are set for takeoff, I do believe. Of course, I would get clearance from air traffic control before we're doing all this. I ain't using any type of actual air traffic control for this, obviously. Got a pretty good headwind, which is good because this is a big bird and she needs a bit of room to take off. Alright, I'm not going to waste any time. I'll apply full throttle. Trim, I've never had that come up before. Flight control trim is not set. Alright, there we go. I think that's better. I just had to nose it up a little bit. down, back on the stick, and we are airborne. Gear up. Vertical speed is alive. We'll go ahead and engage autopilot. It's going to handle everything from pretty much here on out. Getting ready to take my flaps up after I can confirm I'm going to have good speed. You don't want to deploy or retract them too early because autopilot shoots you up real quick in the beginning, just to get plenty of ground clearance. And plus, for some reason, it's wanting to climb really quick through all this. I guess because we're not going very far, so the altitudes are set for a lot quicker than I normally would see, I reckon. Alright, now I'm going to reduce my flaps. Or retract my flaps, rather. I'm not very used to managed mode in a Airbus either, if that ain't obvious. You can always left click and middle click and manually control your vertical speed, your airspeed and all that stuff. Or if you just done it like I did, it's going to be in managed mode and the aircraft will go by all the speeds and altitudes that it pre-programs in. So by the time it gets to a certain waypoint, it's going to be at a certain altitude and a certain speed. So theoretically, you don't have to do anything after this point unless, holy goodness, I forgot to tell you about how to put auto throttle on. Reduce your throttle levers back to climb. Yeah, that's pretty important to note. I'm going way over speed. Whoops, that's a rookie mistake. I'm so used to the other aircrafts, once you see the auto throttle button there armed, that auto throttle's on, but not in Airbus. Gotta make sure your throttles here are to the climb indent. I may have just said cruise earlier, I meant climb. Make sure they're all in the climb indent. And then it will go the speed that it's supposed to. Which you can see over here on this side, the magenta triangle points to 250, which is where it's gonna maintain for now, because theoretically you're not supposed to go over that until after 10,000 feet, which I definitely just did. Fortunately, I didn't go over speed in the design of the aircraft, but I did go over speed through FAA rules. But you can see now it's reduced its speed, so it's going to start maintaining its speed again and starting to climb to the next waypoint altitude. And as you can see now, the frames have got better. I'm back to my normal now. It is just a heavy CPU hungry aircraft right now. And I'm sure it's mostly because of all this programming that is into all this stuff. The more coding you have into software, the more chances it has of being laggy. So now that we can't see our next waypoint, I'm going to go ahead and take this knob here and scroll it up, and so I can start seeing my waypoints. Go ahead and leave it at 40 for right now. And you can also see now that we're over 10,000 feet, the speed auto increased to 290. Which, if you also look down in your flight plan, you can see that it's got 290. Let's take a moment and just check out the exterior model. As you can see, it's a very well modeled aircraft. It looks beautiful. I've never seen an A380 in person. I mean, maybe flying overhead at, 38,000 feet, whatever. But nowhere have I actually been close enough to say, hey, that's an Airbus A380. But going off of pictures and stuff I've seen in the past, I can tell it looks pretty darn good. So now that we're over 18,000 feet, I'm going to go ahead and set my altimeter to standard. And as you can see, we're still climbing, maintaining good airspeed. And by the way, this is the 4K textured one. There is an 8K variant one. I just didn't download the 8K because I'm fine with 4K. I'm not that picky. But if you do have an extremely beefy top-of-the-line computer, there is an 8K version there you can have. And then of course on the website flightsim.2, there is tons of free liveries on there, which is where I got this one from. Which you can download for an 8K variants as well. And just to give you a quick idea, for performance-wise, I am running a 3070 Ti with an i9-13700K CPU, 64 gigabytes of RAM. Don't know my motherboard, blah blah blah. None of the rest really matters. So there you go. So if you've got anything better than that combo there, then you're going to probably run this a little better than I do. Excuse me. But I'm pretty content with it. I mean, I'm not that big on I've got to have a million FPS and all that. As long as it's smooth, that's all I care for. Now we're in a pretty good straightaway here. Go ahead and change my range on out. And you can see there's where Miami is. It looks like that's... What in the world has it got us doing? Holy goodness, what has it got? Yeah, we're gonna have to fix that. What in the world has it got us going? Distance 510 nautical miles. Manual. Okay, that's probably something normal, maybe. I don't know. I've never seen that auto inputted into an FMC, at least the ones I've flown. So yeah, once we get to that point, we'll just do a direct to and go to the next one. I've never done that in this aircraft, so that'll be something to try. Can't be that hard to do though. So yeah, we are at cruise speed, we are at cruise altitude. So from here on out, we're just going to enjoy the flight. And there is timeline buttons in the details section of this video, so if you just want to skip to the exact time I do anything in particular, you can just do so and skip the things you don't need to see or don't care to see. But if you enjoy the cruise, here you go. I'm actually going to increase the speed to This, I'm only going 0.7 to 0.73, and this aircraft can actually go way more than that. So just to demonstrate that real quick, I'm left clicking, middle clicking at the same time, and I'm going to change that to Mach, and I'm just simply going to just change it to whatever I want. The Airbus A380 can go Mach 0.82 for cruising, which is a little faster than most of your other aircrafts. Your A320s, 737s, they're usually around Mach 0.78. I think they can go Mach 0.82, but I think that is absolute max. They typically only go like Mach 1, whoa, not Mach 1, holy goodness. We ain't there yet. Mach 0.78. This is just going to make our time go by a little faster. And we can see some contrails from some other aircraft. Let's go back to exterior view for a minute and then enjoy the sights out there for a moment. While we are going through that, I will take you on a very short tour of the cabin just to show you what the insides look like. So I've actually, yeah, I've not locked the door. So you click on that, and you can see this is like, I don't know what you would call this. Definitely not first class. You can see the different styles. I've only flown one time in an aircraft, so I don't know a whole lot about it. I know there's business, first class, blah blah blah, all that, whatever. I've flown in a couple of helicopters, and I've flown in some small GA planes, but I've never flown in but one actual airliner. We'll go up to the top here. You can see this is probably first class, I would say, because these are nicer. You can see they actually got like their own little screen, tablets. Looks like they got water as well. Wait, no, first class is up here. This is probably the next step down. I remember looking at these yesterday evening. These are probably your first class. They got, I'm pretty sure these doors slide and they actually close. I'm pretty sure because I've watched some videos of real people flying in these, and these are pretty cool. It does not have the residency suite in this one that I could find, which if you've never heard of that, you gotta look that up. That's pretty cool. It's like a full-blown hotel. I don't think it's through here. Oh no, that's not it. But let's see, where are we at? Oh, okay, that's the cockpit down here. So yeah, I never did find the residency or anything. Where does that go to? Can we open the door? Oh gosh. Can you actually open the door? Oh gosh, I ain't gonna try that right now. I didn't know you could do that. So yeah, that's the interior view. Let's go ahead and lock the door back, even though we ain't got no passengers. And if you do want to lock the door, it's right here. Down to lock, up to unlock. And because I'm not used to managed mode, I don't know if it'll actually start to auto descend. I do not know that, which that stands for top of descent, so we'll see. This is, like I said, I'm not used to managed mode and all that in an Airbus, which is basically the same thing as LNAV and VNAV, except for Boeing. What did those turn red for? I don't know. Let's go ahead and turn it back to managed mode though. To do that, I'm going to left click and right click together. Past the top of the climb, and maybe it's red because I need to tell it to start going down. I don't know. Well, I know how to do it manually, so we'll just do it manually. If anybody in here knows exactly what I should be doing right now to make it go down appropriately, please tell me. Because like I said, I don't really know Airbuses that well. So we're just going to do it manually. Alright, it's telling me my altitude is off. Go ahead and take it down to 10,000. Nah. Let's go 14. So during this descent phase, I will go ahead and start getting ready for landing, which the only really thing I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to go ahead and turn my landing auto brake up to 3, which I'm going to go over that again right before. Just going to make sure I don't forget that. Still want to know where that the speed brake arm is, the spoiler arm. I know it's somewhere. I'm probably looking right at it too, that's the thing. It's not right up here, is it, I wonder? No, that's just landing gear stuff. I guarantee I'm looking right at it, just not realizing that's what it is. I would not think it would be up here, but who knows? Yep, I don't know. Just seeing if that done anything. And one thing I'm looking at here is by this Fendi, I'm supposed to be at like 11.5, so I'm going to go ahead and change my altimeter to that and decrease my speed a little more, or my vertical speed. Wish I could know how to make it manage the descent phase all by itself. I wonder if weather works. I don't know. Don't know if any of that works yet. I'm going to go ahead and pull this in one more time. The speed is still auto-managing. It may be in something as simple as just start my descent and it auto picks up. Kind of wonder. See what happens if I do that. Just set the altitude back to auto manage. And it's descending a little faster. By Echo, which I'm getting ready to pass in a mile. I should have been at flight level, well, pretty much exactly what I'm at. Let's just see if it keeps on going. I'm just curious. I might be getting ready to learn something. Bonefish, 16.5. Oh, Ziggy, I'm actually getting ready to pass Ziggy in 2.5 miles. So it might be doing it. I don't know. We'll see. But now we are below 18,000 feet, so I'm going to go and go back to regular and make sure my altimeter is set for whatever this area is, which apparently is still standard. Still looking pretty good. Managed speed is decreased to 250. Here in a couple minutes, I'm gonna fix this nav, the waypoint navigation, so it doesn't have me going 510 nautical miles southwest of the airport for some reason. Again, that might be something that's pretty normal with this FMC. Gives you time to make sure you're set up, maybe also to confirm with air traffic control you're good for approach, blah blah blah, maybe stuff like that. In my case, since I'm not using air traffic control, I'm just going right for every waypoint. So Tupac is right here, and then it does go to manual. Let's see what happens if I click delete on manual. Something weird. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out, because after two-pack it says go to Chrome, which is out there. I don't know. I guess we'll find out here in a minute. I'll probably have to do a direct to Chrome and then do a turn to come back in. If anything, I'll just go into manual mode if I have to. Coming up on 11,000 feet, so I'm curious to see if it's going to stop there, since that's what I got in here, or if it's going to keep following my flight plan. We'll find out. Alright, now I've updated the altimeter to the correct barometric pressure. And it's kind of looking like it's gonna, maybe not level off. Doesn't seem to be. Nope, yep, it does seem to be. Yep, it did. Alright, well, let's go on down. All I did was just change my altimeter and put it back into managed mode. See, what I'm interested in is to watch after two-pack is showing a hard left turn. I don't want to be that close to the runway. So, right there's the airport. Moving to flaps, notch 1. 263 knots is max for flaps 1. Interested to see how the FPS is on landing at Miami. Miami's bigger than Orlando, so it could get very interesting. And if it does, I apologize. That is the downfall to brand new aircraft. Most of the times they're usually not as optimized as they will be in a year. And I'm going to turn managed mode on just because that turn is making me nervous. I'm going to manage mode on the heading. I mean manual mode on the heading. Alright, looking good. Coming up on 4,000 feet. And I'm just going to continue straight for a little bit until I get about perfectly parallel with Chrome, and then I'm going to try and do a direct to. Let's see if I can do a direct to. Click on that. From plane position, direct to probably. And then let's go back into, well, it's back in managed automatically, so it looks like that's going to work. It should start turning here in a second. And with it, yep, there we go. Alright, now that we're getting ready to turn and line up for the runway for landing, I'm going to go ahead and turn on my landing slope button here. Go ahead and descend down to 3,000 feet because my magenta is coming up for capturing the glide slope. I'm going to go ahead and descend, that way I know I've got it. So by Chrome I'm supposed to be at 3,000 feet, and I want to make sure I'm there so that I can capture the localizer and glide slope. So if you don't know much about ILS landings, it just that stands for Instrument Landing System, pretty sure. Basically the plane just lands itself. Uses radio waves, blah blah blah, keeps track of where it's at, captures the glide slope, makes sure it keeps it within a certain area, and yeah. So to know when you're coming up on all that stuff, it's indicated by these magenta triangles. So this one down here is for your localizer. This one on this side is for your approach or for your glide slope. And so once we get turned around here and we get ready to come back up towards center, I'm going to go ahead and turn my localizer on then. That way it can start to capture that. So I'm going to go ahead and down to the next flaps and go gear down, because we are reducing speed now automatically, like it should, through managed mode. So you can see the magenta is coming back. I'm going to go ahead and click localizer here, and that box will light up, and the box will go away once it's captured. It should. It's like the other Airbuses that I remember. Yes. Alright, so once you do have that, it is safe to go ahead and click the approach button, and you'll see this one box in, and you won't see it change until that diamond, the magenta diamond, gets pretty close to the yellow line here. here in a second. The autopilot should decrease my speed pretty drastically, so we'll do flaps again when we get there. I've not tried an auto land with this, hence since I said in the beginning I've never tried IR or IFR with this aircraft yet. Alright, so there we go. We got glide slope captured. We can see it right there, and we can see it's starting to decrease speed. And managed mode on speed should be getting ready to reduce. I'm going to go ahead and next level flaps down. I'm going to go ahead and go flaps full.
$2,500.
And as long as this seems like it's working good, I'm going to let it land itself. But I am going to take over if I see something I do not like. Obviously looking fine right now. Still looking good. Upon landing, I am going to make sure spoilers and forward thrusts are deployed.
1,000.
And you should see that. Should move up something right here, I think. I can't remember if the Airbus shows that right there or not. And then you'll obviously see the thrust. It should say reverse over there. PAPI lights showing good, which is the 2 white, 2 red there on the beginning of the runway. PAPI does stand for Precision Approach Piloted. Oh man, I can't remember what it stands for. Piloted Assisted Precision Approach or something like that. I can't remember. But okay, so here we go. We're coming up. Still on autopilot. You'll know if I disconnect it, I'm sure. I'm sure it'll beep.
400.
Hopefully F frames stay pretty good. Couple stutters here, but I know I'm gonna have some. This airplane at this airport, yeah. Yeah, I'm definitely getting some stutters, unfortunately. Might be a good thing autopilot's working. Oh crap.
50, 40, 30,
Yep.
20.
I'm
Retard.
disengaging.
Retard. 5.
Alright, there we go. Full thruster, speed brake. Yeah, I disengaged that. It looked like it was about to land us like crazy. So you can see spoilers are up, reversers are back. For the center too, that is. That's what I'm using. Alright, so let's kill that. Tap the brakes, release brakes, auto brake. Spoilers retracted, flaps retracted. Go ahead and exit the runway here. see like all landing lights off. Yeah, FBS is pretty horrible, which I knew it would be. Let's just go to the closest parking. Alright, we're sitting here, so let's shut this down. And by doing so, we're going to go ahead and turn the APU back on. I'm going to let that crank back up. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and turn off all my lights except the nav. I'm going to go ahead and get ground power coming over too. And we can see APU is now available. So therefore, I am going to turn the engines off. And you can see they're shutting down. Turn off the seatbelt lights. And then I'd turn off fuel pumps, do all that stuff, whatever it is you want to do. External power's back on. So theoretically from this point, I could leave the APU running if I'm getting ready to do another flight. Or I could just go ahead and turn off the APU and everything stays on because we're connected to ground power. But since this is this end of this flight, I am going to go ahead and turn off everything. Turn off external power and turn the batteries off. And turn off nav. And there we are. End of flight. So, like I do with all the rest of my videos, do I recommend this? Absolutely. Should you download it now? I think so, especially if you enjoy commercial flights or you've never tried commercial and you want to try something new. This isn't really the best aircraft in the world to try learning how to do IFR with or commercial flights with larger or with airliners, but go big or go home, I reckon. If you can learn to do it on this one, you can definitely do it on the rest of them. But yeah, it's a excellent aircraft, especially for free, beautifully modeled. CPU import or performance impact is pretty horrible, which you have noticed. But all in time, it will get better, I'm sure. Yeah, go download it. Go Google Flybywire A380 download. You'll download the installer, and you can install it from there. It takes up quite a bit of space, but it's worth it in my opinion. So yeah, just do that. You can get your liveries, a bunch of free ones off FlightSim.2, and hopefully you know how to install stuff like that using the community folder. If not, there's a million of them videos out there on how to do that. But hope you like this video. Hope it gave you some insight on how to fly this. If it's something you do want to give a shot. If you do have issues, leave it in the comments. I'll try to help you out. Don't get discouraged if you've tried a few times, can't get something to work right. just keep practicing. It takes a lot of practice, a whole lot of practice, and a lot of learning. It's a lot of trial and error, steep learning curve, but it's you'll feel pretty successful once you've learned how to do at least the basics to where you can get from point A to point B using autopilot and land safely and all that. So it's pretty rewarding in the end once you learn how to do stuff like this. So yeah, thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, give me ideas for future content if you wish to see it. I might do another video before Microsoft Flight 24 comes out. I do not know. Obviously, I will be doing plenty of videos of stuff once that comes out, of how-tos on certain technical issues, guides, and then aircraft as well. So there's going to be a lot of stuff coming out content-wise for my channel here in about 3 weeks' time. So yeah, please leave me any feedback you wish to leave. Thanks for watching, and as always, safe flying.